Good afternoon. My name is Pam McCagh, and I am an international psychic medium and author of 25 books written through memories from the other side. I was given that gift through a near-death experience. I am what you call a suicide survivor. The first book only took me 9 weeks to write. I had the first book out, I said, in just after 9 weeks. Then I was asked to go to America, that I'd won an award, and that was my first award for the first book, Sleep Never Comes. The second one was Can Butterflies Cry? So I won 2 medals that year. And I love writing. I've enjoyed every moment of listening to the stories, and that's what I do. The people from the other side let me know when they're coming in. Sometimes it's just one at a time. Sometimes I can turn around, there's these 5, 6, 7 people waiting. But I do get through them, and they do have the courtesy to allow me to rest in between, and then they'll come in and we'll go again. But today I want to tell you a little bit of story. My husband and I left England after my son had got married, and we came back to Mandurah, and we bought a beautiful house in Clydesdale, in Clydesdale in Mandurah. And I just got, everything seemed to be going fine for me. And I stood on the top of the steps and I asked my guide, what am I going to do here? He said, Pamela, you're going to be a teacher. I said, what? He said, you're going to teach everything that people want to know. You're going to teach them and tell them. And I panicked and I said, I don't know about the living. How the hell am I going to tell about the dead? He said, I will guide you. And I panicked, took in, and he said, I want you to go down and I want you to advertise that you would like to start a psychic group up, and put a small piece in the paper. And I said, okay. And he said, you will receive 17 people will want to come to the meeting, to the circle. And I told my husband, and he said, oh God, are you sure? And I said, well, I'm going to go. He said, I can do it, so I'm going to do it. I'll bluff my way. I'm saying, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. But if my guy says jump, I'm going to jump. So I put a small advertisement in the paper. And 3 days later, I had 17 people, like he said. And that's when the terror stuck in. I got this big, beautiful hallway in the house. So I set 2 tables up, and just enough for 17, 18 people. And I'm stood there waiting for the first one to knock at the door. And I'm thinking, God, what am I doing? And panic struck in. So I welcomed all the 17 people, and they sat down, and we introduced ourselves. And so I thought, I hope they can't hear my knees knocking, because I was so scared. As I said, I don't know about living, let alone dying. But anyway, so I sat there and we said the open prayer, and this one girl asked me a question, and I leaned forward. This is God's honest truth. And everything that she asked me just rolled out. Then the other one asked me another question about her mum, because she died very slowly and whatever. So I come in and talked about that. Then somebody asked me about the other side, the life after death. Then somebody asked me something else, and I thought, I was just stunned, and they thought I was bloody marvellous, but I'm not. I'm not the one. The other side is the one, because they're the ones that answer the questions. So the night went absolutely smashing. I had a lovely time. Me and all the girls, we laughed and we had coffee. And those lessons went on for 5 weeks. So we got to know each other. And on about the 3rd week, my guy said, you have to teach them something now. So I said, oh, okay. So he said, you're going to teach them how a flower can talk back to you. I can go out there, talk to the flower, and talk the flower will give you yes and no. I said, you're bloody joking. I don't know anything about that. He said, I will show you. And then he said, you're going to teach him about the crystal ball. Then you're going to teach him about connecting to the side. And then you're going to teach him this and you're going to teach that. And I thought, oh, but I no need to worry. Honestly, I had no need to worry at all. It went so smooth that everything that Fred said that I was going to teach him about psychometry, that's jury reading, it just flowed out. I was so confident, and yet I was a wreck of a person inside, but it was an absolutely beautiful experiment. Just the week just before we finished, we had a big psychic gentleman come in to visit Mandra. And I asked the girls if they would like to go, as, you know, give them a dose of what, you know, we can do. And they all said yes. So the night going down, you know, we got there, we're all laughing. I said, I'm going to get the first one. He's going to come to me first because I got connections. And I'm laughing my head off. But we didn't turn out that way. There was about 240 people came, and there was only about maybe 11 to 20 people got a reading. And we all sat there really excited, thinking they're going to pick me, you know, but it didn't happen. So being me, I'm always the first one out the room to go to the toilet. So I flew in the toilet, shut the door. Then I had all these 2-3 women come in first and said, I was hoping that she'd bring my man through. And this other one said, I was hoping he was going to give me some guidance, you know, what was going to happen in the next couple of months, because I really need help. And then this woman said, I would like to know about my baby. Anyway, I left the toilet, and I said to my guide how disappointing it was. And he said, would you like to have a go? I said, no, I can't get up. I can't get up and do that. He said, would you like to have a go? I said, I would like to have a go, but I don't think I can do it. He said, okay. He said, what we'll do the thing again where you will put an advertisement in, and everything just went so quick. I put an advertisement in, and I was in Woolies the following day, and I met this lovely old lady in Woolworths, and we got talking, and she said that she was going to an AWA meeting or something. Truly, I didn't know what that was. But anyway, I said, oh, where do you have it? And she said, oh, at the hall. My mind started ticking. I said, what kind of hall that is? She said, oh, I said, you rent them out? She said, oh, yeah, we rent it out. She said, why don't you come tomorrow morning and have a look? So me and my husband went down and we had a look, and it was perfect. I mean, you couldn't get a lot in, but she said you could get about 90 people in there. I thought, well, you're only going to get 20, 30 people. So I thanked her. Anyway, the following weekend, the advertisement had gone in. We'd got a sign outside the gate of the CWA to say it was happening, blah, blah, blah. And my husband and my son laid all the chairs out for me. And I actually went behind a curtain because I needed to meditate. But I was panicking so much, I thought, what have I let myself in for? Anyway, my husband popped his head around the curtain and he said, it's full. It's full. I said, what do you mean it's full? He said, about 100 people. Wow, you can imagine. I just went like a wreck. And my guy said, straighten it back up. You're going to do this. And my husband opened the curtains, and all I could see was all these chairs were full and people standing at the back. And my eyes, I walked to the end of the stage and I spoke to this lady, and I said, your husband's here tonight, and he's told me that you've brought his watch in and you accidentally dropped it before you come out, and you cracked the face of the watch, the glass face of the watch. Well, she stood up, she started crying, and she took this watch out of her bag, and she said, that is exactly what happened. And I said, and he said there was something about 6 o'clock that something else happened. Oh, she said, you won't believe it. She said, but yes, you're 100% right. 6 o'clock before I come here, I had this news, and it just made me feel so much better. And I said, well, your husband was there with you. And then, bong, I went on to another one. And I told this lady about something else, and I went on another one and another one. And by the end of the time, my husband had to ring a bell to tell it stopped, because I never stopped. And it was so fast. I just went where Fred was guiding me. Fred's my guide. And I was just going wherever he said. And then he got me a chair and I sat down. I thought, did I really do that? Anyway, people come up and hugged me and shook my hand. And it was about another hour and a half before everybody left. But I had a fabulous time. And I said to my husband, how many readings do you think I did? He said, out of 117 people, you would have easily done 92. I said, my God. He said, I've never seen it like it. And everybody said the same. They'd never seen a reading done like it. It's not always about, when I went to somebody, it's not about always bringing loved ones in, because sometimes people are there for a different, different reason. And, I said to this woman, somebody's going to ask you to sign a paper, but please don't sign the paper, because you need to take that paper to a solicitor, because somewhere in there's a clause in there that you'll have such a difficulty getting out of the situation. Anyway, that turned out right. What it was, they had a clause in that the house that she was going to buy didn't really belong to the daughter. It belonged to the mother and had a cavern on it. So that poor woman would have been locked up in. So it was just different things like that. One lady, she said that she was looking for something that belonged to her mother. And I said, look, your mum used to sit behind a chair in a cushion, and there's a cushion behind her in a chair. And I said, if you find the cushion, you'll find things that you want to find. And then there's somebody come in and they said, can you go to that gentleman on your left-hand side? His name's Bert, and I need to talk to him about something like that. So I said that I went over to him and I said, you're going to be asked to sign paperwork, but if you sign the paperwork and give them the authority, you'll never get anything out of it. The family will have an argument and you'll be brushed aside. He said, I'll tell you the truth, he said, I did have that thought when they was asking me to, but now I know and I won't be signing it. So it was all different things. It was bringing people in, loved ones, bringing children in, bringing babies in, but it just went so fast. So that was just one of my experiences that I'd had first, with a group, and then with the thing I had in the last. Anyway, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening, and I'll finish the night off. Have a good night or good day. Bye-bye.